Not long ago, getting your driver's license was the teenage milestone, the thing you looked forward to for years. Freedom, independence, loud music, and bad parking. It was the first taste of adulthood for a lot of people. But today, more and more teens are skipping the DMV entirely and picking something else instead. Believe it or not, they're choosing electric bikes. That's right, e-bikes. Sure, some mopeds, electric scooters are also popular, but for the most part, it's fully electric bikes. And they're not just for older commuters anymore. They're everywhere, at high schools, skate parks, outside fast food places, and even getting locked up at the mall. Which raises the question, why are so many young people ditching their car keys and choosing battery packs instead? Let's take a step back. In the 1980s, nearly half of all 16-year-olds in the US had their driver's license. Fast forward to today, and that number has dropped to about 25%. And among 18-year-olds, who you'd think would all have their license by now, it's still way down compared to previous generations. At the same time, e-bike sales have exploded, especially during and after the pandemic, when people were looking for ways to get around without crowding into buses or sitting in traffic. But this wasn't just a COVID blip. E-bikes have been sticking around, and for teens, they've become more than just transportation. They're a lifestyle upgrade. Let's break down why this is happening. First, there's the obvious one, freedom without the red tape. Nearly everywhere in the US, you don't need a license to ride an e-bike. No written test, no driving exam, no permit, no hours behind the wheel with mom gripping the dashboard in terror. And no car insurance either. For a teenager who wants to go places without waiting for a ride or asking their parents for the car keys, an e-bike is total independence right out of the box. Driving is expensive. I mean, even a junker used car might cost a few $1,000s. Then you add in gas, maintenance, registration, insurance, and suddenly that little taste of freedom comes with a big monthly bill. Cars can easily cost $1,000 a month or more when you include all those expenses on top of just buying a car or paying for gas. For a high schooler working part-time at a retail job, that's a tough sell. An e-bike, on the other hand, you can get a solid one for just $1,000, and that's a one-time purchase. Then you charge it at home for pennies. No oil changes, no tests, no parking meters, no problems. Just cheap and easy, like teens like. Third, cities are changing. Slowly but surely, there are more bike lanes now, more protected intersections. There are some entire neighborhoods where cars are minimized or even banned in big cities, but bikes and pedestrians are welcome there. E-bikes make navigating urban or suburban spaces way easier, especially for short trips, which make up the most of the errands people do anyway. Riding to school, practice, a part-time job, or the store, that's where an e-bike shines. Then there's the cultural side. If you're imagining an e-bike as something nerdy, think again. For today's teens, e-bikes are lit. Seriously, there are TikTok trends, YouTube mods, entire Discord servers dedicated to e-bike builds and stunts. Group rides are like the new version of car meetups, except instead of Mustangs and Civics, you've got Super 73s, Lectrics, Surons, or Talarias, or whatever the local favorite is. The e-bike isn't just a tool to get around, it's part of a whole vibe. And there's one more reason, maybe the biggest one, climate consciousness. Teens today have grown up with climate change as a daily reality. Wildfires, heat waves, flooded subways, they're painfully aware of what's at stake, and many of them are looking for ways to reduce their carbon footprint. Choosing an e-bike over a car might not solve the whole climate crisis, but for a lot of young people, it's a real personal step in the right direction. Now, all of that said, e-bikes are not perfect, and this growing trend is not without pushback. Some parents are worried, and rightfully so. These bikes can go 20 miles per hour easily, and many can go 28 miles per hour or more depending on the class. And not every teen is riding with a helmet or obeying traffic laws. Accidents can happen, and unlike a car, there are no airbags or seatbelts on a bike. Some schools have even started banning e-bikes from campuses, and some cities are cracking down with speed limits, license plate proposals, or outright bans on certain models. So yeah, they're a concern, and in some places, backlash. But that doesn't change the fact that for a growing number of teenagers, an electric bike isn't just a toy. It's their first vehicle. and it's opening doors that used to be locked behind the DMV counter. So what does all this mean? We might be witnessing a generational shift here. For boomers, the car used to mean freedom. For my own fellow Gen Z and for kids today that are in Gen Alpha, maybe now it's the e-bike. Less stress, less cost, less impact on the planet, and let's be honest, way more fun than sitting in traffic listening to the same radio stations. Of course, e-bikes aren't a perfect replacement for cars. They don't have AC, they don't keep you dry in the rain, you can't exactly take one on a highway road trip. But maybe that's the point. Maybe they're not supposed to replace everything. Maybe they're just right-sized for what teens actually need. And if you're a parent wondering if your kid should get a license or an e-bike, the answer might be, why not both? One doesn't have to replace the other. But for the first taste of freedom, an e-bike might be the smarter, cheaper, and cooler option. So what do you think? Would you let your kid ride an e-bike instead of driving? Or if you're a teen, are you already making that choice? Let me know in the comments below. That's it for now. Stay charged, stay curious, hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time.